I think to be a designer means finding a way to translate your ideas and your thoughts and who you are in a way that other people can understand. I think the creative process is such an interesting, introspective, and kind of intimate act, the act of creating. So for me, being a designer, in my architecture and my paintings and my art and my sculpture, and I'm always looking for new ways to kind of explore this expression of who I am and what I believe and what I find important. And for me, I think that beauty is an inherently valuable thing. And so in this specific project, I really focused on making a beautiful thing that I was very proud of and exploring a concept that I found interesting.
For me, a large part of my work is really drawing from outside of fashion and translating it into a collection or into a piece that kind of shows that fashion is not just a singular market, or it's not just the clothes we wear, but there's so much more that goes into it. Clothes can seem so simple and almost flat, because you see them in a store or something like that, but there's so much that goes into it, and there's so much thought and energy that goes into either the idea that translated into the final garment or different market levels. So for my work in general, the message I try and portray is, I call it like turning a compliment into a conversation. Like, of course it has to be beautiful and visually engaging, but that there's more behind it.
When I went in there and I described this experimental project that I wanted to do, they were kind of like, what, is this gonna work? And I was like, yeah, maybe. Like, I'll try. I decided to use a silicone, which is like a soft rubber. It's called dragon skin. It's something we use a lot in here for model making and pouring casts. So it's this stretchy, clear material that I wanted to see if it could go very thin and be used as kind of a fabric. I just dropped ash. I poured it on with my hands and then into kind of like a gradient that moved around the parts of the body that needed to be covered. Yeah, and I think it worked out really well. The ash stayed and it all kind of came together.
It's such a valuable experience to be able to start with one look and build from there and not have to jump into a full collection, because working with student models, and you get to see the reception of your work on the runway and what works and what doesn't. You get to work all of that out over the years. For me, my collection was titled Spectrum of Paradox. The initial inspiration came from the author of Sherlock Holmes, or the Sherlock Holmes series, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I always tend to have a story and a progression throughout my work. So keeping it visually interesting, but also very much having a strong concept that drives the entirety of the collection. Visually, that translated into more angular, tighter silhouettes in the beginning, moving into more ethereal ideas, layering different fabrics and different colors, and a lot of movement towards the end. Used paper in the collection, all from Sherlock Holmes novels, used books, not new books. But yeah, I think I used 600 pages total for, there was a wire dress pretty much constructed out of paper, and as well as the last one. So I really just had fun with it. It's that, I guess, drive to want to innovate and just notice everything around you to use in your work.
But yeah, I think for me it was a success. The whole process, the design process, having the involvement in the fashion major, the show itself, and my design, it was all really great, fun process.